It was the kind of town you didn't hear about unless you'd gotten lost on a back road. Maplewood, Kentucky, population 3,872 on a good day, if you counted the stray dogs and babies not yet born. To outsiders, it was just another speck in the southern dust. But to 17-year-old Ava Monroe, it was both everything and not nearly enough. Her world was a patchwork of empty storefronts, sun-faded barns, and Friday night football games that people clung to like religion. Her mom worked double shifts at the diner. Her dad had left 5 years ago, chasing something he never caught. And music? That was her escape. Ava didn't just sing, she felt music. In the quiet of her room, when the world got too loud, she'd close her eyes and hum melodies like prayers. Taylor Swift was her lighthouse. The lyrics made sense of things no one in town ever dared to say out loud. Divorce. Heartbreak. Hope. Dreams so fragile they cracked just thinking about them. At Maplewood High, choir was barely hanging on. Budget cuts meant hand-me-down robes and broken keyboards. Still, once a week, 20 kids, most of them awkward, shy, or invisible outside those walls, gathered in a musty room near the boiler. Miss Kinney, the choir director, was in her 60s, half-blind, and had a limp from an old injury she never explained. But she believed in them like no one else did. And in the spring of senior year, she had an idea. What if, she said, eyes twinkling behind thick glasses, we learned something bold? Something beautiful? A tribute. One song, from the heart. Someone joked it should be a Taylor Swift song. Everyone laughed. And then Ava, without thinking, blurted out, "What if we sing You're on Your Own, Kid?" For graduation. The room fell silent. It wasn't a choir song. It was raw, personal, and most of all, it meant something. About growing up. About loss. About trying anyway. Miss Kinney just nodded. Then that's what we'll do. And so began the most unexpected journey of their young lives. For the next 6 months, they practiced every afternoon. In the art room. On the football bleachers. Even in the church basement when the school roof leaked after a storm. Ava led harmonies. Malik brought his beat-up guitar. Jenny, who hadn't spoken in front of a crowd since 3rd grade, found the courage to take the opening verse. They worked through broken microphones, asthma attacks, power outages, and once, a raccoon in the music cabinet. But something strange happened. The town started noticing. First, a janitor stopped to listen. Then a science teacher shared a video clip on Facebook. Then a local paper ran a piece with the headline, "Small Town Choir Sings Their Hearts Out for Taylor Swift." And that's when Ava had an idea, both ridiculous and entirely impossible. What if we send it to her? Malik rolled his eyes. Yeah, and next we'll have Beyoncé officiate prom. But Ava wasn't kidding. She created a YouTube channel. Uploaded a behind-the-scenes clip with their rough version of the song. She wrote a caption from the heart. "We're from a little place you've probably never heard of. But your music got us through everything. This is our thank you. Love, the Maplewood High Choir." She added hashtags. Posted the link on Reddit. On Instagram. Even tagged fan pages. They laughed. They hoped. Then forgot. Until 2 weeks later. The school's secretary burst into choir practice, holding a letter. Addressed to, the students of Maplewood High School Choir. There was no return address. Inside was a single sheet of cream paper with gold-embossed edges. Typed words in clean font. "Dear Maplewood Choir. I saw your video. I felt every word. Please keep singing. You are not on your own. Love. T." Everyone screamed. Jenny cried. Ava stood still, heart thudding so hard she thought she might faint. That night, the video exploded. Overnight, 60,000 views. Then 200,000. 1 million. News stations called. Local radio begged for interviews. An anchor in Nashville dubbed them, the little choir that could. Graduation was 6 weeks away. And suddenly, people started whispering, would she come? Could Taylor Swift actually walk into a gymnasium in a forgotten town and listen to their song? Miss Kinney said gently, don't get your hopes up. But Ava? Ava believed. They doubled down. Rehearsed in secret. Polished every note. Ava bought her first ever dress from a second-hand store and added rhinestones by hand. Her mom worked overtime to pay for it. Then, with only 3 days left until graduation, it happened. The fire alarm went off at 2 a.m. Maplewood High was burning. By the time the fire trucks got there, the gym, their stage, their lights, their carefully set up sound system, was gone. Ash and smoke where dreams had stood minutes before. No one knew how it started. Some blamed old wiring. Others whispered about a kid sneaking in. But all anyone knew for sure was this: the performance was off. No graduation. No choir. No dream. Ava sat on the curb with soot on her cheeks, still in her pajamas. She clutched her lyric sheet, now damp from tears. The others gathered in silence, stunned and hollowed out. She whispered, almost to herself, maybe she'll come anyway. Jenny shook her head. To what? And for the first time since it all began, Ava didn't have an answer. Next morning, Maplewood felt like it was holding its breath. The ashes still smoldered behind yellow tape. Parents paced. Teachers cried. Seniors, dazed and quiet, wandered the school's side halls, what remained of them. Graduation had been officially postponed. The district said maybe they'd hold it in the middle school auditorium, in a few weeks. No one believed that. Miss Kinney hadn't shown up. Ava didn't blame her. She looked like a balloon someone had let go the night before, hope unraveling into nothing. 6 months of building, dreaming, daring, all gone in a flash of flame. Ava stood alone at the edge of the football field, staring at the scorched remains of the gym. Her phone buzzed constantly, but she didn't look. News outlets were calling again. So were strangers from across the country who had seen the video. Some offered support. Some just wanted more drama. She didn't care. Then her mom called. Sweetheart, she said, breathless. You need to come home. Now. Why? There's someone at the door. That made Ava pause. Who? I don't know how to say this. Just come. Ava ran the 3 blocks to her house. And there, standing on the porch in jeans, a black turtleneck, and sunglasses that did absolutely nothing to disguise her, was Taylor Swift. Ava froze mid-step. Taylor gave her a small wave and a half smile. Hey. I heard you guys lost your stage. It didn't feel real. It didn't look real. Her hair was tied back casually, no bodyguards in sight, no flashing cameras. Just her. Standing like someone's cool cousin who dropped by on a road trip. Ava's mom had tears in her eyes, clutching her apron like it was the only thing keeping her upright. I didn't mean to crash anything, Taylor said softly. But I saw the footage. I saw your choir. And I saw the fire. I just couldn't stay away. Ava's mouth finally worked. You came here? Like, to Maplewood? Taylor laughed. Maplewood is exactly where I wanted to be. They stood in the living room, and Taylor explained how she'd reached out through her team the night before, quietly. No press. No announcements. She didn't want to make this a spectacle. She just wanted to be there. I came to listen, she said. But if you'll let me, I'd like to do more. I already called your principal. I asked for permission. If you want, we'll build the stage. Tonight. Everyone blinked. What do you mean, build the stage? Taylor looked at Ava with a glint in her eye. I have a few friends with trucks. And lights. And portable sound systems. We've done stadium shows. I think we can handle a football field. Ava's knees nearly gave out. The choir members, all called in one by one, arrived over the next 2 hours. Jenny was so shocked she forgot how to speak again. Malik dropped his guitar case, then apologized to it. Miss Kinney eventually showed up too, mascara smudged and disbelief plain on her face. They got to work. By 4 p.m., a small army of roadies, production staff, and Taylor's longtime crew were unloading equipment. Speakers. Stage lights. A pop-up rig. The football field was transformed by sundown. Ava watched, still in her handmade dress, as the 50-yard line became something more, a stage. Not a gym. Not a pipe dream. But a real stage. Is this really happening? She asked Taylor, voice hoarse. Taylor smiled. It always was. Word spread like wildfire. Families poured in. Then townspeople. Then curious drivers from neighboring counties. By 7 p.m., the stands were packed. Someone brought candles. Someone else handed out glow sticks. Miss Kinney held a clipboard like her life depended on it, orchestrating from the sidelines like the world's most exhausted general. And then the music began. It was Ava who stepped forward first. The hush was total. Even the wind held still. She sang the first note. Her voice trembled, but it held. Then Jenny came in, eyes fixed on the stars. Malik's guitar added depth. The harmonies bloomed. You're on your own, kid, yeah, you can face this. Taylor stood in the shadows, hands clasped to her chest. And when they finished, there were no fireworks. No confetti. Just silence. The kind that holds respect. Awe. Taylor walked onto the stage. Someone gasped. She took the mic, and for a moment, said nothing. Just looked at each of them. I don't think I've ever been prouder to be in an audience, she said, voice thick. You didn't just sing a song. You told your story. You proved something I believe with my whole heart. She turned slightly toward the crowd. That music doesn't belong to the big cities. Or the sold-out arenas. Or the radio charts. It belongs here, too. To kids in towns like this, who fight like hell to keep their dreams alive. Then she turned to the choir again. You inspired me tonight. And I want to say thank you, the best way I know how. She took off her guitar. Adjusted the mic. And started to play. One song. Then two. She invited Ava to sing a verse with her. Then Jenny. Then Malik. The final track was Long Live. And no one in the audience didn't cry. She didn't film it. She didn't live stream it. There was no press. It was for them. For the kids who believed. For the town that forgot how. The morning after felt like waking up from a dream you didn't want to end. But it had been real. The lights. The music. Her voice. And most of all, them. Standing tall under the stars, not just as high school kids from a nowhere town, but as artists. As a choir. As people who dared to sing loud enough to be heard. Ava woke up still in her dress, curled on the couch with her phone buzzing beneath her cheek. Dozens of missed calls. Hundreds of texts. Her inbox had exploded. But there was one message that stopped her cold. It was an email, from a senior producer at Good Morning America. We saw what happened last night in Maplewood. If you and your choir are willing, we'd love to fly you all to New York for a live performance. Call us. Her breath caught. Her fingers trembled. By 10 a.m., the whole town knew. At the diner, someone printed the email and taped it to the wall. Miss Kinney nearly fainted when a CNN reporter called her an icon of small-town education. Malik's little brother did cartwheels in the driveway. But Ava? She didn't feel ready. Not because she didn't want it, but because she didn't trust it. "I don't think I belong on national TV," she whispered to her mom that afternoon. "That's not for people like us." Her mother turned, hands still covered in flour from pie crusts, and looked her straight in the eye. "You stood next to Taylor Swift last night and held your own. Don't you dare tell me where you belong." But even as the offer from New York loomed, something else began brewing under the surface. Online backlash. It started subtly. A blog post claimed the fire at the school had been staged for attention. A TikTok user accused Taylor of faking the visit for PR. Someone else alleged the choir had been prepped by professionals before the video went viral. And then it spiraled. Hundreds of comments. Conspiracy threads. Keyboard cynics dissecting every frame of their original YouTube video. Too good to be true. This has label marketing written all over it. She probably paid them. Even Jenny, shy, quiet Jenny, got DM'd hateful things she didn't understand how to process. Miss Kinney called Ava one night in tears. "I'm so sorry, sweetheart. I never thought it would come to this." Ava tried to laugh it off, but her chest hurt. She opened her inbox and stared at one particular email, from someone named Tina L., PR assistant to Taylor Swift. It simply said, "Taylor wants you to remember, the people who don't believe in magic are usually the ones who've forgotten how to sing." And somehow, that mattered. Because yes, the internet was cruel. But Taylor had been real. The candlelight had been real. The crowd, the music, the ache in their throats when they finished that song, all real. And Ava made a decision. They wouldn't go to New York. They would invite New York to them. Instead of a talk show appearance, she wrote a letter to every news outlet who had contacted them. "We're just kids. And we're not interested in becoming a headline. We sang because we needed to. We keep singing because we still do." That letter got picked up more than their performance did. Suddenly, the narrative changed. People across the country shared stories about small towns and big hearts. Teachers posted their own stories about struggling music programs. One choir from Arizona even sent them a video of their version of "You're on Your Own, Kid." The hate never fully stopped. But it no longer mattered. Because something bigger was happening. Donations began pouring in. Someone created a GoFundMe. Within 3 days, they raised over $140,000. They rebuilt the gym. Not the same. Not as big. But theirs. Miss Kinney got a new piano. The choir got matching robes. Jenny got a scholarship offer from a vocal arts college she didn't even apply to. Malik was asked to play guitar for a Nashville singer's demo tape. And Ava? She got a call from Taylor's team. Not for a performance. Not for a duet. But for an offer. A summer internship, not as a singer, but as a songwriting apprentice. "You've got a voice," Taylor had told her that night. "But you've also got a story. And stories, they last longer." That sentence stayed with her. Summer arrived like a long exhale. The fireflies returned to Maplewood. The scent of honeysuckle floated through open windows. The gym, still smelling faintly of new paint and promise, stood quietly beside the football field where everything had changed. Ava sat on the steps outside the rebuilt entrance, a notebook in her lap. She wasn't writing lyrics today. Just thinking. About how dreams could rise from ashes. About how the loudest applause didn't come from strangers, but from the people who'd seen you at your worst and stayed. About how sometimes, being seen isn't about a stage. It's about a moment. A risk. A song that says, "I'm here. I matter. Even if the world forgets me." Behind her, the door creaked open. Jenny sat beside her, handing over an iced coffee with a smirk. "Starbucks," she said. "From actual Starbucks. Courtesy of the town council. Guess we're fancy now." They both laughed. Malik joined them next, slinging his guitar across his back. You writing? Trying, Ava said. They watched the sun start to dip behind the trees, casting gold on the bleachers. What do you think she saw in us? Jenny asked quietly. Malik shrugged. Maybe she saw herself. Before the lights. Ava nodded slowly. Or maybe, she saw what people stopped looking for. That kind of raw. That kind of true. They fell silent again. Because the truth was, Taylor Swift's visit had changed everything. But it had also changed nothing. Maplewood still had one gas station. The library still had broken AC. There were still nights when Ava wondered what her life would be like if she'd been born anywhere else. But the difference now? She no longer felt trapped. She felt called. Her first day as a songwriting intern in Nashville was quiet. No red carpets. No one took photos. Taylor wasn't even there that day. But a woman named Elise, one of Taylor's longtime collaborators, sat her down with a mug of peppermint tea and said, "Tell me something you believe in so hard, it hurts." And Ava wrote, "I believe in kids who still believe. In voices that crack but don't quit. In broken gyms and backyard stages and secondhand dresses made to shine. I believe in the kind of songs that don't try to go viral. They just want to make someone feel seen." Elise looked up with tears in her eyes. "You've already started." Ava called Miss Kinney that night. Told her everything. Thanked her for every off-key note, every stubborn rehearsal, every time she said, again, from the top, like it mattered more than the rest of the world. And Miss Kinney said, "You don't owe me anything, Ava. Just promise me this, wherever you go, keep lifting the quiet voices." That fall, Ava returned to Maplewood for homecoming. Not as a guest of honor. Not with TV cameras. Just her. A few notebooks. And a new pair of boots she'd saved up for. She visited the new choir room, now named after Miss Kinney, who had finally retired. The students looked younger than she remembered. But they still sang with the same tremble in their bones. Before she left, she slipped a note into the piano bench. "Don't wait for someone to notice. Sing anyway." A.M. Later that year, Taylor released a surprise EP titled The Maplewood Tapes. One of the songs, Smoke and Starlight, was co-written by Ava Monroe. It wasn't about fame. It was about memory. About voices rising from forgotten places. About a town no one believed in, until they believed in themselves. What this story leaves us with. We often think inspiration comes from the top down. From the stars. From the famous. From those who made it. But sometimes, it begins in a broken choir room. With a girl too shy to sing above a whisper. With a town that almost gave up on dreaming. And with a fire, not just literal, but the kind that strips everything away, so truth can finally walk in. Ava's story reminds us that the dream is not always the spotlight. Sometimes, it's the courage to light one candle in the dark. That magic doesn't wait for permission. That the greatest stage is not the biggest one, but the one you dare step on when no one's clapping yet. And maybe most of all, that you are not on your own, kid. If this story spoke to you, here are 2 books to keep your fire burning. Big Magic, by Elizabeth Gilbert. A powerful reminder that creativity is not just for the chosen few, it belongs to anyone brave enough to listen and respond to the call. The War of Art, by Stephen Pressfield. For anyone struggling with self-doubt, procrastination, or fear. This book is a battle cry for anyone who wants to show up to their passion.